Good morning, esteemed dignitaries on the dais, respected seniors, and dear friends. On behalf of Ahmedabad branch of ICAI, it is my privilege to extend a warm welcome to all of you, and we commence the first session of the National Conference on Statutory Bank Audit. It is an absolute honor to introduce today's distinguished faculty, CA Kuntal Shah, sir, a seasoned professional. He has been in practice since 2007 and has contributed immensely as a speaker at various training programs, certificate courses, and seminars conducted by ICAI. He has also contributed writing for various publications published by ICAI, and we are fortunate to have him with us today. I now request CA Abhinav Malviya to kindly present a memento as a token of our appreciation to our esteemed faculty. So we are truly privileged to have you here with us.
Just excuse me, as the respected chairman just informed me that Kuntal Bhai requested for not presenting the memento. So it's a gesture from his side, sir. Big gratitude from us. And ma'am, if you continue.
So we are truly privileged to have you here with us. Without further ado, let us extend a warm welcome to CA Kuntal Shah, sir. Sir, stay.
Good morning. Am I audible? Yes, sir. Yeah, okay. It is indeed a pleasure to be at the home ground, and that too in an opening event. Thankful to Hitesh Bhai as well. We had a long conversation yesterday, and I got few more points as well. Right. So it's always a pleasure to be discussing on various topics. As it was stated in the first part, you cannot remain constant in case of an auditing. Auditing requires a lot of iterations, discussions. જો શાંતિથી બેસવાનું હોય તો it's a one way process. I won't like it. While discussing yesterday with Hitesh Bhai, I thought to do one more attempt this time. My entire presentation is now completely reversed. So I reminded of a movie. Generally, I am not a movie buff or an OTT buff, but I saw a movie way back. The name is Johnny Gaddar. The movie starts with an killing, right? So you are aware with who has shot the person, who was shot, right? So everything was open at that point of time. ખબર જ હતી કે ખૂન થયું છે, આવી રીતના થયેલું છે. And then the movie starts from the backwards. So the climax is there. You have everything open. And then the movie starts from the back side. So in this type of presentation, what I have done is I'll start with the case studies and then how to find out or how to carry out audit for that, right? So let's see how it works out. I don't know. Otherwise, presentation is more or less same, those who have attended last time. But then there are other points where I would like your utmost attention to. There are a lot of issues happening right now in banking industry. A lot of members say that way that we do audit only once in a year, so we may not have that kind of proficiency. That's an excuse that can't be accepted. If you are doing an audit, if you are accepting it, you need to do it diligently. The regulators are after you, even the institute is after you, because the regulators are after institute, right? So understand, a lot of things have settled, but a lot of new things have emerged. Whenever the RBI stated that it has to be completely automized, a lot of things got automized, but how it was automized, that's the $1 million question. So we need to come back again to the drawing board on the basics and the fundamental side. On a very basic item, right? See, gone are the days where I can select that, yes, this account should be removed from an NPA list or kind of thing. Gone are the days. But if I make the system in such a way that the system will not identify that particular account as NPA, then it is more dangerous one. I report in certain manner where my balance sheet is shown as very rosy one, whereas actually I am hiding the vital information and the auditor is not reporting such kind of issues in the audit report. Now auditor means branch auditor as well as central statutory auditors. You simply cannot say that that since you are only an branch auditor, you don't know this or you don't know that. That's not going to happen. Except in few parts, yes, you can take refuge into that kind of thing. Let's start with this one. Whenever you have a question, do post, right? I have about 1 hour 30 minutes time, right? Or till the time next faculty comes in, right? I would always suggest पूछना क्वेश्चन, मुझे हिंदी आता है, गुजराती आता है और इंग्लिश आता है, तो लैंग्वेज इज नॉट अ बैरियर, बट पूछ लेना सो जिसके कारण प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाए. सिंस आई एम एन ऑडिटर लाइक यू, आई स्टार्ट विथ माई डिस्क्लेमर्स. दीज आर लॉन्ग लिस्ट ऑफ डिस्क्लेमर्स. लेट्स स्टार्ट विथ द एंड फर्स्ट. Important CBS parameters for NPA identification and case studies, and then we will go through how we can do it through various systems. I'll only deal with various systems here. So it will be TCS banks, it will be Finacle both versions, Finacle 7, Finacle 10, and the FlexCube, right? Let's understand step by step. You can make a note of it. I'll give you very specific pointers where the games are being played. Term loan, as simple as that. The term loan requires a specific NPA identification norm is there since years, ages, right? So there is no change in the norm itself. However, the games are there now in the system. I'll give you a few of the examples. Now entire game is on overdue. If you see the IRACP, that is IRAC circular, that's everything is on overdue now. Now overdue requires what is due. Meaning thereby, if a sanction letter says that the installment gets due on 31st of the month or the end of the month or 15th of the date, means on 15th of the day and at 12 o'clock, if there is no remittance into that account, on 16th, that is 0001, it becomes overdue. So gone are the days where the bankers used to say that, sir, उसको 5 दिन दो, 10 दिन दो पेमेंट के लिए. ऐसा कोई नहीं है. अगर देना है तो दिखाइए कि सैंक्शन लेटर में ड्यू डेट क्या प्रिस्क्राइब है. सैंक्शन लेटर मस्ट हैव द ड्यू डेट. Fair enough? Okay. Now, if I say that the computation of overdue is a technical aspect and where the games are being played, then we need to understand how the games are being played. First part, moratorium or the installment start date. Many of the loans you will find that for 3 months, 6 months there are moratorium. Sanction letter says that way, but whether the system is set up in that way, we need to check in the account master how the flow, FLOW, flow is set up and from which date the flow starts, whether the flow start date matches with the sanction letter or not. Now what will happen if your sanction letter says that your flow start would be after 3 months, but in system if I am saying that it will start after 4 months or 5 months, I have a cushion of 1 more month or 2 months, turning that account into an NPA. Fair enough? Now, what system will do, there is a concept called theoretical balance. So what system will do, system will say that this is my EMI, right, this is what the EMI is prescribed, on this is the date, on this day, what would be the theoretical balance outstanding. System will compute what is the actual balance as reduced by the theoretical balance, what is the overdue amount, and whether that overdue amount is equivalent to 90 days or not. Right? So, first thing is installment start date. Then comes the EMI. Amazingly abused. I will share few of the point. One of the example will also there. EMI is set up in such a way in system where the interest getting debited, let's say, is 25,000 rupees on a month on month, 25,000 and some lesser 24,900 and kind of thing. Whereas the EMI repayment is of 23,000 rupees. मंथली जो EMI है वो 23,000 रुपये 23,000 है और जब इंटरेस्ट डेबिट होता है दैट इज 25,000 रुपीज. इसको नेगेटिव अमोर्टाइजेशन बोलते हैं. ये लोन कभी बंद ही नहीं होगा. बिकॉज लोन का इंटरेस्ट कभी खत्म ही नहीं होगा. ओवरड्यू में जाएगा, ओवरड्यू का इंटरेस्ट आएगा, बढ़ता जाएगा, बढ़ता जाएगा, बढ़ता जाएगा. The problem in this type of loan is EMI is not sufficient even to cover the interest debits. Are there any instances? If yes, identify those. Where the issue lies. I'll tell you where the issue lies and in some few of the next slide. Then comes interesting part. And this is specifically very important for this year, and last year also it was very important. 2 years before, there were a lot of changes in interest rates, from the lower interest rate to the higher interest rate, right? Now, each interest rate change requires change in either the tenure of the loan, that is the entire tenure of the loan, or the installment is required to be increased, since there is an increase in the interest rate. Now, what has happened is, the bankers have not increased the EMIs in certain cases. Now the pressure would be on tenure of loan. Agreed? Okay. Now in case of tenure of loan, it has been seen that in certain cases, if you add the tenure and the age of the borrower, right, and the time by which the loan would get finished, it would be 90 years of that person, or 100 year, or 120 years as well. Now there is a capping on the age, that you cannot have a sanctioning beyond this age, because then will be an impact on the earning capacity of the person after that age, and the life table issue will also come into play. So whenever you are auditing, just review it, what is the end date of the loan in system, and just add it up with the age. If you find that it goes beyond 70 years, 75 years, check the bank's policy and then the RBI's policy on advances. Please do this part, because since last 2 years, 2-3 years, this has been rampant. Now what will happen that, let's say I am not touching up the tenure as well. So I am not increasing the EMI, I am not touching upon the tenure as well. Then what will happen? Then the system will do the ballooning. Now what is ballooning? My normal installment is 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 in a month, but my last installment, because I have not touched upon the tenure as well, so my last installment will show let's say 15 lakh. Now how can you expect a person paying 25,000 on month, and 2036 or 2050 some installment would be of 15 lakh rupees? That is absurd. You have not changed due to change in interest rate, you have not changed the EMI, you have not extended the tenure as well. In my opinion, again, now this is a controversial part, I am just sharing my opinion, you can have your own as well. In my opinion, these ballooning cases or the negative amortization cases tend to amounts to restructuring. Why? Now restructuring says that any benefit extended to the person, whereby there was a reduction in interest or the change in the repayment, right, would be classified as restructuring. The moment I say that the account is restructured, it will go one notch down, that is from PA to substandard, or substandard to a notch down. Nobody is going to accept this. Now you need to take a tough stand onto it, but first thing is that you need to identify such cases, and there are plenty available, plenty. In one branch, I could identify 33 cases of ballooning, 33. That branch has not done any activity, not a single account, they have changed this EMI or a tenure. And this entire thing, that entire, all you can say garbage, has occurred therein. Now there was a position wherein almost 25-30% of the branch accounts were turning into NPA on account of restructuring. The next year when I went to the branch, the negative amortization issue came in. This 25,000 is your interest and 23,000 is your EMI repayment. So bank had to actually issue the circular stating that RBI is not permitting negative. How will RBI permit such kind of thing? You need to work onto your systems and you need to talk to the borrower. You don't talk to the borrower and you manipulate the systems. Now in these cases what will happen? System will not correctly identify the account as NPA, and as an auditor you are certifying in a black and white that yes, the systems are perfectly in order and it is automated. Where? LFAR. Right? Please understand, now there are very small cases where the major impact is happening and there will be a series of accounts. Non-updation of EMI or loan expiry on the interest rate change. One more aspect. It has been seen that way. Now, in case there is a change in the interest rate, I can understand the EMI can undergo a change. But there is no change in interest rate. Even though the EMI is getting changed, that is getting lowered, and the accounts are not identified or classified as restructured. Now, this is very important aspect. The moment you say that you have extended some benefit to the customer, but the benefit was not extended consequently to the change in the interest rate, but it was extended on a normal basis, or the system would have changed the EMI itself on an automatic basis without any justification, please identify those cases. From where to verify? Account master, flow detail, and the history of flow. In all systems that is available. How? I will tell you in the later part. In case I don't have time, it would be there in the presentation. I have already shared with the branch and they will be sharing it, or they will be hosting on the website as well. It's an 120 slide presentation, so but nature I am not going to finish it off the entire thing, right? Then comes an unique case of handling of overflow. Again, diverse opinion is there in this one. Many of the banks, they do allow payment in advance. So, let us say your installment on a 1st of April or a 2nd of April, a person is repaying about equivalent to 10 installments in advance. Bank is not adjusting that 10 installment and keeping it as is. Now, adjusting means it has to be either adjusted to the principal or it should be transferred to income received in advance. Why? Because in case of a record of recovery, if the person is not making payment, the record of recovery says that first the interest should be recovered. So, assuming that for 13 months, the person is, because he has paid 10 months, 13 months he is not making payment of any of the installment. So, for 3 months, there will be an overdue. However, the system will classify on a record of recovery, all interest would be adjusted against that advance. So, what will happen is a portion will still remain as unadjusted. Understand this kind of thing. If that is happening, just check how the system is behaving. If it is an income received in advance, it should go in income received in advance and not to the debit of the loan account. If it is adjusted to the principal, you can have lower the EMI or you can have a earlier closure of loan. So, that is possible. Fair enough? Now, these are basic fundamental aspects, but if it is not correctly updated in the system, we will have a problem. Now, this was what the case of ballooning. The sanction limit was 3960, the normal installment was 9900, the last installment was 91,000. So, whatever was the outstanding that was remaining without changing the installment was ballooned on the last installment. So, whenever you check flow history or the EMI history or an amortization schedule, always check the last installment as well. If it is 200, 300 rupees, that would be a minor rounding correction, but not the major one. If it is like this way, like 18,000 rupees and last installment 1,30,000. Now, this is clear-cut case of a ballooning, where you have extended the benefit. Instead of 18,000, the customer was required to be paid, let us say 19,000. But you said that way 18 is fine. So, 1,000 rupees benefit that you extended on a monthly installment. Right? Okay. Now, from the CBS perspective, how we should verify or which are the important aspects that we should be keeping in mind? Account master, into which we should be checking installment start date, flow, that is EMI amount, loan expiry. Now, these are very important parameters. Limit masters, are there any change in the limit, that is whether this principal was put down or there was an enhancement in the term loan during the period. Installment and amortization schedule, especially regular installment and last installment, right? The one that we already discussed, and apportionment of repayment between interest and principal. What is the bank's policy and how it is set up into the system? Very important one. In case of an interest received in advance, it should go into that liability side and not on a loan side, right? Okay. Housing loan and other staff loans. Again, a lot of things are happening into this. Whether the person, whenever they say that there is a staff loan, first check that whether that person is really a staff or not. So they have all staff IDs, right? And staff ID would have PAN as well, or whatever is the identifier with you. Just check whether that is there in the account or not. Generally, the loans, particularly in case of loans, only the staff would be benefited with this part and not the ex-staff. However, check the policy if the bank is extended to the ex-staff as well. For deposits, many of the banks says that ex-staff can also get some benefit. But loan side, because the loan would have provident fund and gratuity lien marked as well. So then there is no problem onto the loan side. So whether tagging is there or not. So first and the foremost thing, check that part. Reason. In the staff loan, they say that you only need to pay, generally, only need to pay the interest and principal will come at the later point of time or with a relaxed EMI flow kind of thing, right? Now, if that is the case in sanction letter and which is also matching with the bank's policy, how the system is set up? Again, I will come back on to the overdue part. This is an entire game. Now, it is an entire game of a due and overdue. Whether the overdue, see, you can read it, right? You can read the sanction letter, you can make out that if no payment is made onto this part, then it becomes overdue. Whether the system is also reading in the same manner or not. Sadly, as an auditor or rather chartered accountants, sorry to say, but we always believe that whatever comes in report is correct. सिस्टम ने जो जनरेट किया वो सब सही है और उसके ऊपर से अभी ये साल में और आगे के साल में वो चैट जीपीटी आ गया तो बंटा धार हो गया है. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, डोंट आउटसोर्स योर कंप्यूटिंग कैपेबिलिटी टू द सिस्टम, राइट? सिस्टम आप जो बोलेंगे वही सीखने वाला है, राइट? सो अपना काम किसी को देना नहीं, अपने को अपना दिमाग चलाना है. So we need to understand how the system, and these are very fundamental aspects. अगर हम fundamental aspect के ऊपर काम नहीं करेंगे और ये ऐसे ही चलता जाएगा और ऐसे ही बैलेंस शीट रोजी रोजी निकलेगी, then it will be very difficult one for us to justify कि हमने सही बैलेंस शीट पे साइन किया है. सिस्टम काफी हद तक अच्छी हो गई है, बट प्रॉब्लम कहाँ शिफ्ट हो गया? मास्टर्स में, प्रोसेसिंग में, राइट? आगे आएंगे और पिक्चर कभी बहुत बाकी है, राइट? आई विल शो यू हाउ दिस थिंग्स हैपन. थोड़े स्क्रीनशॉट्स भी है, राइट? सो द सेटिंग अप ऑफ अकाउंट एंड इम्पैक्ट ऑन ओवरड्यू कंप्यूटेशन एंड एनपीए कंडीशन. एनपीए कंडीशन कैसे सेटअप हुए, स्पेशली स्टाफ लोन में. तो अगर कोई स्टाफ नहीं है और स्टाफ का टैगिंग है तो वो यहाँ फंस जाएगा, बिकॉज उसका एनपीए कंडीशन अलग हो जाएगा. बट अगर स्टाफ है और जो पॉलिसी बैंक का है कि जब ड्यू होता है, ओवर ड्यू होता है, उसके हिसाब से सीबीएस सेटअप हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है, राइट? ओके, नाउ फ्रॉम सीबीएस परस्पेक्टिव क्या क्या चेक कर सकते हैं? कस्टमर मास्टर, दैट इज द स्टाफ टैगिंग. अकाउंट मास्टर के अंदर ये इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है. टाइप ऑफ लोन, इट हैज टू बी ऑन अ स्टाफ. फ्लो, प्रिंसिपल स्टार्ट डेट, इंटरेस्ट स्टार्ट डेट, फ्लो, लेट्स से ईएमआई अमाउंट, लोन एक्सपायरी. नाउ दीज आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वन. इन दिस केस flow will have two aspects, that interest is due on so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so date, and the principal would due on so and so, so and so, so and so date, or only one day, bullet repayment kind of thing, whichever is the type of loan, right? Installment and amortization schedule, regular as well as the last installment. Again, a ballooning case would also be applicable there. Apportionment of repayment, same way, because generally an interest is due on an early basis and then the principal. Overdraft, very interesting one. Yeah, there are three conditions under IRSCP. balance continuously in excess of 90 days, balance within limit but no credit in last 90 days, credits not enough to cover interest debit, right? If any of this condition is there, the account will be termed as out of order, and out of order then NPA, right? This is pretty common. Okay. Now comes the gaming part. First part, balance continuously in excess of 90 days. Forget about this part. Let's focus this. We have a drawing power of 100 rupees. Right? The account is continuously in excess of 100 rupees. Say 105 is the max balance. The running days start and the computation is always on a daily basis. So every day it will be computed. पिछले कितने दिन से outstanding है, overdue है. Fair enough? Right. Now, I am equating my balance, that is 105, with my drawing power of 100. I have come to 88th, 89th day. Right. If I remain in this way, or this account remains in the same way, on 19th day, system will automatically mark the account as NPA. As simple as this. Okay. Now, how to circumvent this? हम जब छोटे थे ना, तब हमको वो पजल देते थे, 2 लाइन ड्रॉ करके टीचर देते थे और बोलते हैं कि उसको रब किए बगैर बड़ा करके दो, राइट? तो हमको तो पता नहीं चलता, हम तो एक ही थे डिस्ट्रक्टिव मोड वाले. जो कंस्ट्रक्टिव वाले दिमाग रखते थे वो क्या बोलते थे कि नीचे से लंबा करो तो लंबा हो जाएगा, बिकॉज इट इज विथ ऑन रेफरेंस टू समथिंग. So in this case, what you can do is, instead of 100 on a DP, a person can increase the DP to 110. So on 89th or 98th day, system will check whether 105 is greater than 110. Answer is no. Meaning thereby, the account is within the limit. Now on the 91st day, that 110 is again restored back to 100. So the counter will start again from day 1. It is as simple as this. Wherever the branches have access to the DP setup, these are the problems. So we also need to have an antidote for this, right? So my audit process should say that whenever I carry out an audit and when I review the sanction letter and I have in my hand what is the sanction limit and what is going to be the drawing power, are there any changes in the drawing power during the period or not? And if so, whether that is supported by set of documents and approval as well or not. Fair enough? If it is there and if it is within the limit, that's perfectly fine. But if it is not, best of luck. That account is required to be classified as NPA. Understand this, and I am now borrowing a point from Hitesh Bhai, from my yesterday discussion. Now, this is an extract from Bank of Baroda. It may be very small. There is no problem with Bank of Baroda. Let me be very clear. I have just taken this as an example purpose because I wanted a format. Right, understand this. Now, this is a format of movement of NPA from standard where it went to this side and that side, right? So, it says that addition, reductions, right, everything. And then in case of an upgradation, recoveries or technical or a prudential write-off. Now, what happens is, assuming that this 110 case has happened, and the account was not classified as NPA. I am just giving you an understanding where your signing would have an issue. In any case, there should be an MOC that this account should be termed as NPA first and then the upgradation in case it has gone below 105. But it will also impact this statement. This statement we are blindly signing, upgradation and downgrade. Now, what discussion we had, in certain banks they have now developed an unique process whereby during a quarter, correct me if I am wrong, during the quarter, if the account has turned into NPA and also upgraded, it is net off before this preparing this statement, so it won't have any impact onto this one. More so, certain NPA accounts which have been technically written off, so they will not have a mention into this itself, so your gross NPA would always be a different one. So what you are showing to your in a balance sheet is completely different than what is there in the system. Yes, sir. I think I should give you a mic as well.
I have something to submit here.
Yeah.
So far as your first issue is there, no? That during the quarter, if any account, sorry to disturb you. But during the quarter, if any account has slipped to NPA, see, NPA mechanism is a day-end process. It is on a daily basis. Today, my account, for whatsoever reason, slips to NPA by any reason. But tomorrow, if it is upgraded, it is a temporary deficiency and temporarily shifted to or slipped to NPA for a day or a two or some short period of time. In that case, Kuntal bhai, my submission is that it should not be appearing in the fresh slippage as well as the recovery. Because say for example, I am enjoying the facility of 1 lakh rupee and for a day my account slipped to NPA, right? And next day I made it good by depositing whatever the overdrawings was there. So that is temporarily for a day. Yes, for a day that account has slipped to NPA. More particularly, this is applicable to cash credit and overdraft. But I fully agree with you on that aspect which we did discuss in detail yesterday, that the banks have now resorted to what he has rightly said, to classifying the account as technically written off. If my account as on today, that is 7th of March, my account slips to NPA, and as on 31st of March 25, if the account is technically written off, what is the meaning of technically written off? That Kuntal bhai will discuss in detail, and there is another separate circular for that. Technically written off means that account ceases to exist in the books of the bank. Though technically it will be in the books of the branch, but it will be out of the balance sheet portfolio because it is 100% written off. The thing is that if that gimmick, what Kuntal bhai has rightly said, right, what I have personally observed and in detail with the principal, example I did discuss with Kuntal bhai also, and he is also having this much exposure and experience, that whatever is the technically written off account, right, that will not appear in the fresh slippages. Ideally, it has to slip to NPA first, and then to technical. To that extent, that gimmick is there. That is what I have personally observed. But so far as the temporary slippage of during the year, because you see, we are giving the example of Bank of Baroda. Bank of Baroda must be having 10 lakhs of cash credit and overdraft accounts. Sometimes it happens for non-availability of stock statement, some DP problem, some whatsoever reason, right? And if for a day or a two or some period of time, if that slips to NPA and it automatically that made good by the borrower, in that case it need not be appearing here. Otherwise, it will be highly inflated figure at both the sides. And the very purpose for the stakeholder to read this movement of NPA statement in the balance sheet of the bank, right, that will not serve the purpose. Here you see the total additions during the year is 10,396 crore, if I am not mistaken, right, and the reduction is 15,326 crores. My submission is that the branch which I am doing, welcome Chirag bhai, the branch which we are doing, my concentration should be restricted to the branch only. I am paid for the branch I am doing. In branch also, this is nothing but the compilation of the branch, the statutory or branch statutory auditors have signed, and the central statutory auditor sitting at the head office will only compile this and will match with the totality. But so far as the technical write-off issue is there, tomorrow is my lecture, I will discuss threadbare about that technical written-off, because that I have seen at the branch level. And that I consider is of utmost importance for all of us. We will not discuss what happens at the head office level. જો જેને ફી મળવાની હશે કરશે, આપણે 3 દિવસમાં એક તો પતાવવાનું, પછી આ ફી આટલી જ લેવાની, તો શું એના માટે આટલું હેરાન થવું? બરાબર? That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. My point into this is that there will be a jotting available for all these statements. My point is, review those jottings. It should not happen that way. The jotting is also compromised in terms of certain things which should have been reported and which is not reported. And at any point of time, any statement that you sign, and wherever there is a total advance figure is mentioned, it should match with your balance sheet. Now ensure that at least that part. Right? Okay. Now come to the second point. Balance within limit but no credit in 90 days. Now, RBI is now stating that way in IRSCP, including that day where the end of day is happening. So running basis, you need to ensure the 90 days. The issue happens in this is, especially in certain cases of account where the person repays, or some, let's say there is 100 rupees CC or OD account. It started with 100 rupees and he has fully utilized 100 rupees, and then the person is repaying, let's say 50 rupees or 40 rupees. Immediately after taking the loan, that is an OD facility, in the next day he is repaying 40. Now that is considered as repayment in a normal parlance. Now for an entire year he is not doing anything. Even the interest, if you compute, it will not be more than 40. The repayment that the person has made. Can we say that he has already made 40? So can we say that there was an advance payment? IRSCP says no. It always says that 90 days check. Check 90-day rule. Whether in 90 days there is a credit or not. That is on a second limb, I am saying. On a third limb, that goes with the interest or sufficiency of credit in the and coverage of credit vis-a-vis the interest debited. Now here comes an interesting part. Partly legal, partly illegal. Now it depends on how you look into and how the documents are made. I debit my CC or an OD account with an available limit and credit my account only. Same account debit and credit. That's one. I debit my OD account, credit it to the savings account, and savings account to again back to the, or savings or a current account and back to the CC account. If I do it like 2-3 times, I get the turnover. So my system will say that system is dumb, right? You can't expect system to be a kind of thing, right? So it will automatically compute that yes, this is a turnover, and against the turnover, this is what an interest is debited, and then there is no problem. The problem starts from here, where you don't have source document for the debit. The account was debited by the branch using the branch voucher, stating that this CC account to be debited and the customer's current account to be credited. Same way, another voucher will be there, current account debited and CC account credited. There is no confirmation of customer. Now that becomes a tricky part. Rather, I would say that that becomes a issue part. If customer does this, you can't say anything on much onto that side, except if it is utilized for the purpose for which the loan is given. But for a first part, wherever you find these kind of cases, at least as an audit process, 2-3 cases, I am not saying that you ask for all vouchers, 2-3 cases, verify that how these transactions are happening. There is one more problem with a specific product that is going to be there in the next part. So what are the important perspective? Account master, limit master is very important menu codes. For the menu codes for the limit master is very important. I will explain which are the menu codes for that. Ledger account review for credit. Please, for the God's sake, don't only rely on the reports. Whatever we used to do earlier, that ledger scrutiny, like we do it in a normal other than banking side, even in banking, please review transactions. Without reviewing transactions or without touching, you can't complete the audit. You can't even understand what is going on in the account. See, your system will show you everything perfectly all right. But when you dig into it, you will be able to find out that yes, there are a lot of things that are happening. Overdue computation, that is on a running day basis to compare with the manual computation. You can have it for 1 or 2 account, manually compute, and whether the system is also computing overdue perfectly or not, because overdue reports are there. Whatever are the overdue reports, based on this, the system will also consider those amount as overdue. So whether the system is perfectly computing this or not. Now this one, this is the product that I was referring to. Loan product being offered as an overdraft facility. You can say that the reducing balance facility, or the facility where every month or any quarter or a 6 month or a year, there will be a reduction in the DP. So that prompts the borrower to repay on a timely basis. So it's an hybrid of a loan and an overdraft. You can use it as an overdraft, you can pay back as well whenever you want. Now initially there used to be a problem, I am referring to about 1920 or 2021, and thereafter RBI categorically gave certain set of clarifications. What is to be done in these type of accounts? These are reducing balance loans, home OD, that's the name many of the banks are using, where the property is mortgaged and the balance that instead of loan you can get in a OD facility is equals to generally monthly drawing power reduction, or that's an hybrid loan. Now what's the interesting case is, borrower has repaid the entire amount due for the year at the start of the year in this case. What will be the impact on NPA identification? Now the clarification that I am referring to refers to again on this part only, the 90-day part. So if this kind of thing is happened, it won't fit under this 90-day previous 90-day repayment part, because the repayment would be on a day 1 or first week of the year, and thereafter there won't be any repayment. Initially banks had designed a product in this way, the person required 6 crore rupees, they were sanctioned 8 crore because the eligibility used to be 8 crores, and then they used to say that immediately on sanction you withdraw 8 crore and then immediately pay back 2 crore, when this norm was not there. So in the system side, please check that how the same is set up and how the computation is happening. Now the same case, transfer entry from OD to SB and SB to OD without any debit instructions. If that is the case, that's the problem area. I will not say anything further, you are the best judge for this part. The other gaming part. Now that's completely on a system side. I will explain you how. You have all seen the loans of an stock statement against stock statement book dates, right? The borrower is also diligently submitting stock statement book date statements, right? The same is entered into the system as well. But the best part is, system is not taking cognizance of the values punched in. System automatically gives the fixed limit to the borrower. Then assuming that for 1 month, generally it's not going to happen, but assuming that for 1 month, the stock is not sufficient for the DP that is assigned to the borrower, then the DP should come to the lower side, but it's not happening. Reason: the DP is a fixed DP that is updated into the system. Now that is where this entire gamut lies. So what I will suggest you as an auditor, have sample of 3, 4, 5, whatever is your sampling requirement, compute the DP what it should be and what the system is there. Otherwise there are flags available, but that's highly technical. Many of the members may not be in a position to identify those flags. Certain flags we generated through an SQL from a backend, but that's not feasible in the bank branch audit. So I am not referring to that, but I am instead giving you an alternative. Just compute it on an Excel, that what should be the DP and what is the DP that was assigned. So it will solve two purposes, monitoring part as well and the stock statement submission. Now this is where this part comes, derived from sanction limit. Now the flag that I was referring to is this, whether the DP would be derived based on stock and the book dates value, there is a separate flag. But then there is one more flag derived from a sanction limit. So whatever is your sanction limit will become your DP, irrespective of the fact, even if you file 0 rupee stock statement and 0 rupee book date statement, system will allow you this DP. So please understand, system is very differently set up. Wherever, many of the time, I don't want to say that the bankers would have done it purposefully. They might have as well. As an auditor, I don't judge before auditing. but then there are possibility of errors as well, which may impact your asset classification. Computation of drawing power, margin, paid stock computation, changes in margin if any during the year, right? So that's an important one. What are the CBS? Again, a master account limit history maintenance. I'll share this part. Security register and collateral setup, stock statement and book date statement, right? This is outside this one, but whether the updation is carried out in the system or not. Now, in an updation side, there have been instances wherein stock statements have been updated belatedly. So the stock statement dated 28th of February was received on 17th of March. The due date is to submit is, let's say, in a bank 10th of March, so 10th of the subsequent month, right? So ideally, system would have debited penal charges from 11th to the 17th. But when you see in the system, you find that penal charges are debited, but it shows that stock statement for a 28th February was submitted. And the bank says that, no, they have submitted properly, because the receive date stamp, generally banks are not affixing, or they may affix it the other day as well. Either side is possible, if there is a delay or if there is a timely updation. One side is whether penal charges have been collected or not in case there is a delayed submission, right? So if it was updated on 17th as if it was received on 10th, the problem is in many of the systems you don't get two dates. You only get one date, that is date of receipt. But that date of receipt was updated when? So I can go in a back date as well, right? Just understand the setup at the bank level. I will not be in a position to tell you that how you will be in a position to check out or check in the each system. But these are the cases where the issue lies. Renewal. Again, a clarification that was given by RBI a few years back. 180 days is your total time limit that is available. Now the games are being played here. Bank would say that we do review, we do short review, we do quick review. This all namesake. And those dates have been updated in the date of renewal. Now renewal requires assessment of complete credit, assessment of a borrower, wherein the financial statements are required, the projections are required, right? At one place we are, as an auditor, we are mentioning that for this customer, the financial statements have not been received for last 2 years or 3 years. And then we say that no, renewal is perfectly happening. How? So we are contradicting ourselves into this part. So whether the date of renewal is properly updated, that is with all processes being done. Review is different. Whatever name called, I am on to only renewal. Once your limit is expired, you get 180 days as a banker to update it as a renewal. Once the 180 days is done, NPA, once the renewal happens, upgradation, provided there is no overdue. Okay. Regularization of account near balance sheet date. There are plenty of cases where we will find that 31st of March report is perfectly clean, as if the patient has no issue at all. Everything is perfect, right? We need to see to it, is that because of grant of new TOD to someone else, and through that this entire repayment was carried out. Misuse of cash and the teller account, where the cash and cash teller account is used for repayment and immediately it is shown as cash payment to someone else, so that there is no audit trail available. Fictitious credit or a subsequent reversal through mirror accounts. So let's say they have a suspense account or a sundry account, they debit the account, sundry account, suspense account, and they credit back and forth. Please understand, we need to check the sundry and the suspense or these accounts as well, the office accounts. You will find lot of things. I'll tell you a few of the perspective side. What you can check is account transaction TOD report of few days nearing to year end or a quarter end, and just see to it who has got TOD, and that after getting TOD what was done onto that particular account. Source of fund, detailed review if needed, and if required source of source as well. I'll say why I have stated source of source. Review of teller account as well. If source of deposit is which do not commensurate with borrower's business. If borrower is in an IT software development and he is depositing 20 lakh, 30 lakh in cash, right? You should understand that something is not matching, and then you may require some additional things to be carried out. Invoke guarantee and devolved LC, I am just keeping this part, otherwise the next faculty is also probably here, so I'll not barge into his time. Other advances, NSC, KVP, FD, LIC. Generally, you won't find these accounts turning into NPA, but provided adequate margin is available. Now, what generally happens is in this account, if by chance, if someone has given a TOD into this account, then this account would go beyond what is the adequate margin part is concerned. The best part is, in one of the bank that I observed was, the account was under fixed deposit, that is fixed overdraft against fixed deposit, but there was no fixed deposit at all. So the GL was FDOD, the limit was set up as per the fixed deposit, and there was no fixed deposit at all. It was a clean OD to save an account turning into an NPA. Thankfully, actually, I got to know this. Otherwise, generally, this is the least risky product, and we generally give it to the subordinates in our office. But from that day, I am referring to probably 2014 somewhere, 13 or 14. So 11 years back, 11, 12 years back. Please check whether lien is properly marked into the system. In TCS banks, there is an excellent setup where you need to first create a collateral ID. So you need to put this deposit, or in this part, create a collateral ID, and that collateral ID is mapped. Even in Finacle also, there is a direct linkage available, or even the limit is also sanctioned based on this one. But there are multiple type of setup available in Finacle, and lot of bankers, they use differently. So that is the reason I always say that back to the basics. Check that what should have been done and what is done, right? Project under implementation, how this DCCO is getting updated, and what is the automatic mechanism. Why I am using the word automatic? Because RBI has asked for it. RBI is stating that all this upgradation, downgradation business should be automated. And as an auditor, you need to mention yes into LFAR or no with your reasoning. If this mechanism is not there in the bank where DCCO, let's say, date is not updated and the account is turning into an NPA because of that, but the system is not marking that account as NPA automatically, then this will become a negative point for reporting. Likewise, NPA, there is an SMA identification as well. In case of an SMA, we also need to certify, or rather we need to report. I will not use the word certify, report in LFAR whether SMA classification is properly carried out or not. There was an interesting case that I observed in one of the bank, where they said that they are doing SMA classification outside the system. I said, how? So they say that we generate an overdue report, and then we apply SMA outside the system in report, Excel or a report, but not in the system, because system is not having that much capability. It was an UCB, not the normal bank, because in UCB you will have a problem in terms of software that they use. Please understand, it has to be through system. Every SMA 0 to loss asset, anything should be there, automatically updated, and then only you can mention this into LFAR. Case studies. This was a classic case. I always use this part. There was a loan, there were 4 loans. 4 loans getting overdue, so 4 more loans were sanctioned. Simple as that, plain vanilla. So the new loans, the old loans, disbursal of new loans, and that was shown as repayment, and net increase in exposure was the new loan, this part only. There was absolutely no repayment by the person. The net increase in the exposure was absolutely the same as the disbursal of new loan. Had it been the case that there is a repayment, it would have gone below the net the new loan sanction. And in this case, there was a clear-cut nexus available as well, that the funds were parked into savings bank account. It was a trust account. savings bank account, and immediately on that it was shown as repayment. And then we found out from the file a document that we need to sanction new loan to repay the earlier loan. So that was a clear-cut case, and that was the final nail in the coffin. Now this case, there is a current account of M Private Limited. There was a problem going on into a particular account where outstanding was, as on 31st of March, was appearing as 998,754 debit in a current account. Background was like there was a running TOD of 10 lakh that was granted for a period from 16th of March till 22nd of March, right? So TOD was given for 7 days, somewhere 6-7 days, but it was not regularized. I need to wait for 90 days for turning into NPA, so that's completely fine, right? 22 to 31st, 9 days, that's fine. But the actual game was not this. The game was on a different side. M Private Limited got a TOD on 16th of March for 10 lakh of rupees. Now he transferred the 10 lakh of rupees because his account was also not having any balance. So with TOD, he has transferred that amount to the borrower's account, 10 lakh of rupees. And the borrower account was saved by 10 because that was getting a nearing to an overdue of a 90. Now what is happening in this entire game is, the borrower was not repaying this. When I started checking on a quarter-on-quarter basis, M used to change to N Private Limited or kind of other person. So every quarter they will find some new fellow, and they will have 1 or 2 more fellow. So for 3 quarters he was doing, and now this type of current accounts, there are 5-6 current accounts with TOD outstanding going on into this, because at each stage you will require 2 more. Because you also need to ensure that this TOD is also tamed and this borrower is also saved. Now this borrower was actually politically connected one, so that is the reason probably branches were not keen on doing this. Now this is a classic case. I have referred to one of the this example, right? Debit, credit, same account, or debit to OD account, credit to current account, current to OD. Now this is an actual Finacle 7 screenshot. I generally don't share any of the screenshot. This is the exception. Now there are about 12 transactions. Now this screen has some lesser transactions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 set of transactions. I'll use 2 transactions as 1 set. The start balance is 436, the end balance is 436. Credit 9 crore, debit 9 crore, 3 crore, 3 crore, 9 crore, 9 crore, likewise. If this happens, your entire system of identifying an account as NPA based on the aggregate turnover would go for a toss. So that is the reason I always say that please open the accounts. We can't do audit without touching the system or without touching the papers, right? Gone are the days. Other case. In this case, there was a problem of recovery. So on 30th of June, from out of the blue moon, 6 lakh was credited. Now the 6 lakh was credited. I was perplexed to know that how come 6 lakh immediately that fellow got when he is not repaying anything into this account. Then I started digging into it. Something clicked into my mind, and I checked the TOD report of 30th of June, and I found that he got a TOD in his current account. With that TOD, he withdrew the cash and then he deposited the cash. So there is a loss of audit trail, right? So people now go on to that level as well, right? And the final part, this one. Now this case was a unique one. The customer had 3 accounts. First account, let's say A, B, C, 3 accounts. First account, the person, the main person we'll say, was having 97% share and the other person was 3. In second partnership, 98% 2, and the third one was 99 and 1, right? It was a textile account. I can say that as well. Account was running horribly, meaning there was no credit at all in the account for 3 months, last 3 months. Now in that case, what would go wrong is all 3 accounts, and the account was about aggregate would be about 40-50 crore outstanding was there. So it would turn into an NPA. On 30th of March, something has happened, like a Bollywood scripted drama. That fellow got all repayment that was required or that was due, and everything that he got was through cash. Now, if a person had a cash or some amount was there was no point that he would not have deposited it. So, something was not adding up. In that scenario, we started digging in. I was at that point of time assisting a center statutory auditor. So, this was not my branch. Auditor was resisting to issue any report because I could understand the branches and the senior would be giving a pressure to them. And then the bank represented to us that, sir, these 3 accounts are there. There is some problem, but these are beautiful accounts. Now, these were the words. I said, fair enough, sir. Generally, we don't, as a center statutory auditor, they don't override the opinion of the branch auditor unless there is a visible error, or rather factually error is there. In any case, that report has not come. So, we were sitting idle for some time. Generally, that won't happen, but at that point of time, we had some time. And Finacle was with us. So, we started digging in. Now, see the time as well, right? Now, the entire game started at 17:14. 5 o'clock and 14 minutes in the evening. The branch time is 4 o'clock. Fair enough? So, by the time they close, there will be half an hour, 40 minutes, 1 hour, right? They count and they will put all the cash into the vault. So, that happened at 5:01. At 5 o'clock 1 minute, the cash was closed and it was shifted to the vault, meaning thereby the cash teller is closed for the day. At 5:14, the cash started flowing in. 6,50,000, 1350, 17, 25, 30. Sorry, this was balance. 657, 350, 8, 5, 5, 7, 6. In total, 48 lakhs of cash is deposited. That is what is stated. Up to that, that's fair enough. Generally, they do recovery on the last date and we can accept that part as well. They might have opened. But surprisingly, after deposit, 2 fellows were ready to withdraw exactly 48 lakh rupees. See, 3 लोगों ने डिपॉजिट किया, एग्रीगेट अमाउंट 48 लाख. तब तक तो समझ गया, बट 4 बजे के बाद कैश विड्रॉ करने आया 2 बंदे और वो एग्जैक्टली 48 लैक्स लेने ही आए. द लास्ट 2, राइट? सो कैश क्लोज हो गया, जीरो बैलेंस हो गया वहां. आप 5:28 को देखोगे जीरो. अभी क्वेश्चन ऐसा हुआ कि जो लेने आए वो कौन थे? देने वाला तो चलो समझ जाए, कहीं पे भी लेके आया, किसी से भी लेके आया. लेने वाला कौन है? जब लेने वाले का अकाउंट का चेक करने का शुरू किया तो उसके अकाउंट में भी पैसा नहीं था पहले. तो पैसा कैसे लेके गया? तो उसको टीओडी दिया. व्हाट अ मास्टरपीस. क्या मास्टरपीस था. 30 तारीख को ये सब गेम खेल दिया. डीजीएम हमारे सामने बैठे हैं, उनको नहीं पता था कि हमने ये ड्रॉ करके रखा है. हमने बोला कि हाँ आप बताओ ना, हम भी सुनते हैं, हमको भी मजा आएगा थोड़ा. सो वी केप्ट दिस एवरीथिंग विथ अस. सो जीएम साहब, डीजीएम साहब सब आए, बैठे. नहीं नहीं सर, दीज आर एक्सेलेंट सेट ऑफ अकाउंट्स. वो प्रॉब्लम अभी चल रहा है, ये टेक्सटाइल में ये वो है. उन्होंने 15 मिनट तक हमको सुनाया, जो आप लोगों को एज ए ब्रांच ऑडिटर भी सुनते हैं और मैं भी सुनता हूँ. हमने बोला बराबर है सर. एंड देन वी प्रेजेंटेड दिस. अंडरस्टैंड दिस. This is a culmination of 4 hours job where we need to search lot of things. I am not boasting my work as such. I just want to ensure that you don't fall for these kind of tactics. And for that reason I am saying please check source of source. Fair enough? Okay. So मैंने आपको end बता दिया है, climax बता दिया है that what can go wrong. Now flashback पे जाते हैं. Right, and let's start with some of the part LFAR. How much time do I have? I think I am done. No, I still have 15, right? Yep. Okay. So what we'll do is I'll first tell you how now on the presentation is structured. I have taken the LFAR requirement, the suggested audit checkpoint. This suggested points are only from CBS perspective. Please understand this. So don't say that this is entire audit part, and then the system support available in all types and all versions. Fair enough? Right. But there are plenty actually from 35 to 100 or somewhere, it's there. But I actually want to first discuss few important ones. There is a point 5B1 on credit appraisal with the enhancement of limit or the change in limit. Now this is what I was referring to earlier. ACL-HM, account limit history maintenance finacle, is a beautiful or a masterpiece command where you can see what has happened in the account on an history basis. So you get an history of a changes in sanction limit, you get an history in the drawing power as well. Same way in TCS banks, you have under interest rate history, even though the name is interest rate history, you have the limit history available. So it shows that on this date the limit was so and so, on the whatever is the next day, on this date this was the limit. So difference between the two dates, the same limit was there, what was there in the first instance. Fair enough? In FlexCube you have CH409 and CHM07 for the masters. Please include this part in review. So what you can do is you can dissect your review part into an OD and CC and a TL, and the master verification at the time of verification of sanction letter or whatever are the cases. Please check this. This is a classic case of evergreening, and RBI is now has come, rather I will not say now, but in updated LFAR. I have some reservations onto this as well, but someone would have played very smartly and RBI would have caught, and that is the reason probably it would have featured into LFAR. Now understand this aspect, it's a bit technical. A person is having a limit of 500 rupees. 300 is CCOD, that is funded, and 200 is non-funded, that is LCBG. Customer is not in a good shape, already used to the brim up to 300, so that's gone case. Now he is not having any limit, rather he is more than 300 because of interest application and turning into an NPA. In case of an LC, but natural, he is not having any fund, it's going to be devolved. LC is getting devolved, assuming that 50 rupees, right? Now, the moment in LC gets devolved, it is crystallized from non-fund based to the fund based. Now, these are basics, right? So, assuming that 301 was the outstanding, against 300, 301 was outstanding. So, now the outstanding would remain 351 as against the sanction limit of 300. In case of a non-fund base, you have a limit of 200, out of which the now limit would be 150, because 50 is now converted to the fund base. Up till now it's clear, right? Now the game starts. Now the bank would invoke one of the aspect in the sanction letter where the interchangeability is permitted. Interchangeability means if any limit is there in non-fund base, then it can be used for fund base, same way in the fund base to the non-fund base. But what RBI is asking is whether that clause, now that clause per se is not an incorrect one, that clause is perfectly fine, but whether this clause was invoked post LC devolvement or a BG invocation. If that was the case, then you are required to report it. As an auditor, your trigger point would always be the LC devolvement and the BG invocation, and then the entire movie starts from there. Just see to it, are there any instances, if there are any, then whether this kind of thing has happened or not. This new LFAR, forget about the old ones. The old LFAR was yes, no, thank you report. This is not the case. Please understand that this report requires detailed working, and then only you can report. Please don't simply report as yes, everything is in order. Otherwise, you may face some music. Now, this is a classic case on a deposit side. FCNRB deposits. FCNRB deposits are given to the non-residents who continue to be non-resident. However, if FCNRB deposit is opened with an auto-renewal flag, then what will happen? At the time of maturity, the facility would again get renewed automatically. Whereas, the bankers are required to confirm whether the person is still a non-resident as per FEMA perspective. Meaning thereby, if you do an auto-renewal into an FCNRB, that portion of validating the person still being an NRI is in limbo. Now, this has now featured into, now in the sense, in the updated version of LFAR, even though it's very old now, the updation also. But many of the time we tend to miss out on this thing. Now, this is a dangerous statement that's there in LFAR, which I find we should represent as an institute, that it should not feature into the branch level, this one. But again, RBI would always have a say that you are the ears and eyes for the center statutory auditor, so you should have this. Read this one. Whether, it is under MIS, whether the branch has proper systems and procedures to ensure data integrity relating to all data input which are to be used for MIS at corporate office level and for supervisory reporting purposes. Have you come across any instances where data integrity was compromised? So, the first and the foremost thing you should be aware of, which are the type of data which goes for the supervisory reporting. If you ask me, I will say all data. You don't know what the HO is reporting, right? So, we need to understand which are the important aspects, or if we find something which requires a mention. So, let's have a suggested point. Check and report any case of data manipulation, that is transaction and master, same account debit, same account credit, right? Incorrect data feed, EMI setup, in the first also only we have checked. Manual intervention, the dates being punched in for certain things, or this office account manipulation through the manual mode, that debit office account and credit the OD account or a CC account. Now, these are possible events which may have an impact either on revenue or on reporting or on NPA identification. Discrepancy in setting of manipulation, right? So, there are plenty, I think 13, 14 are there, right? So, these were the important points that I wanted to discuss. Now, I am speaking since 10:30. So, in between the time Hitesh bhai had given me some cushion. I want you to question me that where you are finding a problem, or let's have it in an interactive basis. Otherwise, see, it would be too boring as well for you. કોઈ ક્વેશ્ચન હોય, કંઈ પણ હોય, એક્સપિરિયન્સ ના કહેતા, બને ત્યાં સુધી કોઈ ક્વેરી હોય તો બધાને આપણને કામ લાગે એવું કરીએ. કોઈ ક્વેરી હોય કે આ કઈ રીતના જોવાનું, આ કઈ રીતના જોવાનું, અને મારી પાસે અહીંયા હશે તો તમને આપી દઈશ. બીજું, ગાઈડન્સ નોટ પબ્લિશ થઈ ગઈ છે. ગાઈડન્સ નોટની અંદર બહુ ડિટેલમાં ચેકલિસ્ટ છે, CBSની અંદર પણ છે કે LFARના જે પોઈન્ટ્સ છે એમાં કઈ રીતના ચેક કરવાનું એનો પણ ડિટેલમાં પોઈન્ટ છે. પ્લીઝ એ પણ વાંચજો. એક કદાચ એક પબ્લિકેશન પાઇપલાઇનમાં છે, જો આવી જશે તો તમને મળશે WIRC થ્રુ. હવે ખબર નથી મને ક્યારે થશે કે નહીં થાય. માય work is on. So, if that happens, you probably get about 100-page book, or if you're on A5, it will be a 200-page book comprehensively on CBS. Right? Question હોય તો એ પૂછો હવે. Yeah. સર, ત્યાં માઇક પડ્યું છે ને, પાછળ જ છે બેન. એ જુઓ ને, ચાલુ કરી દો. નહીં તો બીજું આપો, અહીંયા છે. ચાલુ જ છે? યા
સર, જે એગ્રીકલ્ચર લોન હોય છે એમાં મેઇનલી એવું થતું હોય છે કે સાંજે 4-4:30 વાગે કેશ આપી જાય અને તરત જ એનું રિન્યુઅલ થઈ જાય. એટ વોટ ધેટ પોઈન્ટ ઓફ ટાઈમ અમારે શું કરવું જોઈએ?
ઓકે, થોડો ઇકો આવતો હતો એટલે હું ફરી બોલું છું. એગ્રીકલ્ચર લોન્સ, એસ્પેશિયલી KCCs, કિસાન ક્રેડિટ કાર્ડ, એ પ્રોડક્ટ જ એવી રીતના બનેલી છે. સી આપણે બહુ ક્લોઝ ફોરમ છે એટલે કહું છું, પ્રોડક્ટ જ એવી રીતના બનેલી છે કે કોઈ દિવસ NPA થાય જ નહીં. પ્રોવાઇડેડ તમે એને ટ્રીટમેન્ટ સરખી આપો તો. એટલે એમનો પોઈન્ટ એવો હતો કે સાંજે 4 વાગે જ્યારે ડ્યુ ડેટ હોય એ દિવસે સાંજે 4 વાગે કેશમાં ક્રેડિટ આવે અને 4:01 કેશ ઉપડી જાય. બરાબર છે? મેં તમને જે આગળ બી પોઈન્ટ કીધો, તમારો વાંક નથી એમાં, બેન્કરનોય વાંક નથી, પ્રોડક્ટ જ એવી ડિઝાઇન થઈ છે. પણ એઝ એન ઓડિટર હું તમને 1-2 વસ્તુ સજેસ્ટ કરીશ. પ્લીઝ એટલું કરજો, પેઇન સ્લીપ છે એ જોજો, વિડ્રોઅલ થાય ત્યારે એ કસ્ટમરની સાઇનવાળા કાગળ છે કે નહીં એ જોજો, અને ડિનોમિનેશન લખેલા છે કે નહીં એટલું જોજો. આટલું તો એટલીસ્ટ કરજો. બરાબર? હવે નવી લોન લેવા જાઓ અને બેંકમાં એવું પ્રિસ્ક્રાઇબ કર્યું હોય કે 1-2 લોનના ડોક્યુમેન્ટ કરવાના છે, તો એ ડોક્યુમેન્ટ કરેલા છે કે નહીં એ જોજો. બરાબર? જે બેસિક ફંડામેન્ટલ હોય કરજો, બાકીના પ્રોબ્લેમ્સ છે એ હવે રહે છે. રાઈટ? તમે મને જે KCCનો પ્રોબ્લેમ પૂછ્યો ને અને એગ્રીનો પૂછ્યો ને, હું તમને બીજો પ્રોબ્લેમ કહું જે મારી દ્રષ્ટિએ એવું છે કે આપણે બધા યસ લખીને બધું બરાબર છે, પણ એમાં આપણે એકચ્યુઅલી ડિસ્ક્લેમર આપવો પડે કે ભાઈ આ છોડીને. એમાં એવું છે, RBI શું કીધું છે કે શું બધી સિસ્ટમ્સ, હું જે પોઈન્ટ કાઢી લઉં કે NPA આઈડેન્ટિફિકેશન છે એ ઓટોમેટેડ થાય છે વિધાઉટ મેન્યુઅલ ઇન્ટરવેન્શન. રાઈટ? આ પોઈન્ટ જે તમારી સામે દેખાય છે. ધ પોઈન્ટ ઇઝ, એગ્રી લોન કઈ રીતના NPA થાય? એના ટાઈપ ઓફ ક્રોપ ઉપર. બરાબર? હવે કેટલી બેંકની અંદર ટાઈપ ઓફ ક્રોપ ભરેલા હોય, ટાઈપ ઓફ ક્રોપ ઉપરથી SLBCની ગાઈડલાઈન આવે કે શોર્ટ ટર્મમાં જાય કે લોંગ ટર્મમાં જાય. શેરડીમાં એવું થાય, મહારાષ્ટ્રમાં શેરડી ઉગે ને એને અલગ ગણાય અને આંધ્રમાં ઉગે ને ત્યારે અલગ ગણાય છે. એટલે અમુક પ્રોડક્ટ એટલે અમુક પેલી આઇટમમાં એવું છે, SLBCમાં ડિફરન્સ આવે છે. પોઈન્ટ ઇઝ, whether system is configured for an automated identification of NPA for agri loan, whether there is any NPA is there or not, I am least concerned. મારે અહીંયા ક્વેશ્ચનનો શું જવાબ આપવાનો છે? હેઝ ધ બ્રાન્ચ આઈડેન્ટિફાઈ ક્લાસિફાઈડ એડવાન્સીસ ઇન્ટુ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ, સબ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ વિધાઉટ મેન્યુઅલ ઇન્ટરવેન્શન? તો સિસ્ટમની અંદર એ પંચ થાય છે? જો થતું હોય તો સિસ્ટમ એને કઈ રીતના NPA આઈડેન્ટિફાઈ કરે? જો ના થતું હોય અથવા તમને ઇન્ફોર્મેશન ના મળતી હોય તો તમારે માંગવી પડે કે ભાઈ NPA આઈડેન્ટિફિકેશન એગ્રીમાં કઈ રીતના કરો છો. અને એ લોકો એવું કે જો અમે મેન્યુઅલી કરીએ છીએ, તો આપણો જવાબ અહીંયા એવો હોવો જોઈએ કે ભાઈ ના, આ એક્સેપ્ટ આ વસ્તુ. રાઈટ? અને એના માટે બોર્ડ અપ્રૂવડ પોલિસી હોય કે જે પણ હોય કે અમે આ એક્સેપ્શન આવી રીતના હેન્ડલ કરીએ. પણ ત્યારે તમે અહીંયા એવું ના લખી શકો કે હા બધું બરાબર છે. રાઈટ? એક બીજો પોઈન્ટ તમને કહેવાનો, તમારે બીજા કોઈને ક્વેશ્ચન હોય તો યુ કેન. ઓહો, અરે ભાઈ એક છેક પાછળ જજો. એક બીજો પોઈન્ટ છે, અત્યારનો રિસન્ટ ડેવલપમેન્ટ છે, જો મારા CBS જોડે રિલેટેડ નથી. આ બાજુ CBS જોડે નથી, પણ હું તમને ખાલી કોશન કરું છું. એક અત્યારે EDની એક મેટર, ઇકોનોમિક ઓફેન્સ વિંગની એક મેટર ચાલી રહી છે. ન્યૂ ઇન્ડિયા કોઓપરેટિવ બેંક કરીને મુંબઈની બેંક હતી. બરાબર? એ બેંકમાં એવું થયું કે 122 કરોડ કેશ બેલેન્સ દેખાતું હતું અને જોવા ગયા ને તો 10 કરોડ જ નીકળ્યું કે સમથિંગ કંઈક મીગર અમાઉન્ટ નીકળી. ક્વેશ્ચન એવો થયો કે એ જે બ્રાન્ચમાં 122 કરોડ કે જે બી હતું, રાઈટ, એમાં જે વોલ્ટની સાઇઝ હતી ને, એ વોલ્ટની સાઇઝની અંદર 10 કરોડથી વધારે રૂપિયા આવી શકે એવા જ નહોતા. તમે સમજજો, હું જે બોક્સ છે એ બોક્સમાં હું દબાઈને ભરું તો એ 10 કરોડ રૂપિયા જ આવે એવા હતા. તો કે 122 કરોડ આયા કઈ રીતના, અને આયા કઈ રીતના, તો કોઈએ જોયા હતા તો એમણે શું રિપોર્ટ કર્યું કે ભાઈ વોલ્ટની બહાર પૈસા મૂક્યા છે કે કાઇન્ડ ઓફ થિંગ. પ્લીઝ ટેક ધીસ સિરિયસલી. ઘણું બધું હલચલ થઈ રહી છે. મારાથી જેટલું કહેવાશે એટલું પોડિયમ પરથી કહું છું. ઘણી બધી હલચલ થઈ રહી છે. કામ સિરિયસલી લેજો. તમને એકલી ઇફેક્ટ નહીં થાય, તમારા પિયર્સ બધાને ઇફેક્ટ થવાની છે. બરાબર? અને બીજો પોઈન્ટ જે સરે કીધું હતું કે WRCમાંથી પેલું પોર્ટલ પેલું એ હેલ્પ ડેસ્ક બનાવવાના છે, એવું હેલ્પ ડેસ્ક પેલા સેન્ટ્રલ લેવલ પર બી ચાલે છે. એક ક્વેશ્ચન એવો આવ્યો તો હું એમાં પાર્ટ રહું છું ઘણીવાર. એમાં એવો ક્વેશ્ચન આવ્યો તો NPA કોને કહેવાય? એટલે અમે એટલું જ લખીએ કે આ તારીખનો IRACP વાંચી લો. જેવો ક્વેશ્ચન આવશે એવો જ જવાબ આવે. કોઈ તમને ત્યાં શીખવાડવા નથી બેઠું, તમને હેલ્પ કરવા બેઠું છે. સો પ્લીઝ બી સ્પેસિફિક ઓન ટુ ધ ક્વેરીઝ એઝ વેલ, રાઈટ? કારણ કે સામેવાળો જે માણસ છે એ બધા પ્રો બોનો નથી, એમાં કોઈ એવા એ છે નહીં, રાઈટ? ક્વેશ્ચન અને પછી આઈ થિંક વિલ ફિનિશ.
સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ ઉપર મારી ક્વેરી હતી. સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટમાં જ્યારે બી મીન્સ સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ ડ્યુ થાય છે તો ડીપી 0 થઈ જવી જોઈએ એઝ પર રૂલ્સ કે ભાઈ સ્ટોક
ફરી સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ
અગર સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ કોઈ પર્સન આપી નથી રહ્યું,
Right.
જે બી બોરોવર છે
Right.
CCOD માં, તો ડીપી 0 થઈ જવી જોઈએ જે તે ટાઈમે.
ઓકે તમે યુ ફિનિશ ઇટ ઓફ.
હા, તો અગર સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ 3 મહિના સુધી અગર આવતું નથી કોઈ બી વ્યક્તિનું, તો એ ડીપી 0માં ડિરાઈવ થઈને 90 ડેઝ એ ઓવરડ્યુ ગણાય કે ના ગણાય? કેમ કે
હું
સ્ટોક
તમને
સ્ટેટમેન્ટ
એના માટે સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ NPA થાય ને એના માટેની તમે જે પ્રોસેસ કહો છો ને એ નથી. સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટમાં શું કહે છે કે જો સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ 3 મહિના સુધી જૂનું સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ બીજા 3 મહિના સુધી તમે વાપરો છો, એમાં ડીપી 0 નથી. ડીપી ક્યારે 0 થાય? જ્યારે લિમિટ એક્સપાયર થાય ત્યારે થાય. સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટમાં નહીં. એ શું કહે છે કે જૂની ડીપી વાપરો છો તમે, રાઈટ? જસ્ટ બીકોઝ તમે ડોક્યુમેન્ટ સબમિટ નથી કર્યો એનો મિનિંગ એવો નથી કે સ્ટોક જ નથી રહ્યો, રાઈટ? તમે સમજો ડિફરન્સ. જૂનું ડીપી તમે વાપરશો તો તમે NPAમાં જશો. એટલે તમે કદાચ બે વસ્તુને મિક્સ થઈ જાય એવું લાગી રહ્યું છે કે ડીપી 0 ક્યારે થશે? એક્સપાયરી પર થશે. અને સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટમાં જૂનું ડીપી વાપરે છે એટલે તમારે સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટનું ટ્રેક કરવું પડશે સિસ્ટમમાંથી કે કેટલી વાર સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ અપડેટ થયા. અને જો બે સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ વચ્ચે, એક સબમિશન અને બીજું સબમિશન વચ્ચે 6 મહિનાથી વધારે સમય હોય તો તમારે જોવું પડે કે સિસ્ટમે એને NPA કર્યું કે નહીં, અને પછી ભલે અપગ્રેડેશન થયું હોય. દેટ્સ અ નોર્મલ પ્રોસેસ. રોજ NPA થશે ને રોજ અપગ્રેડ થશે. હવે તો દેટ્સ નથિંગ ઓફ દેટ સોર્ટ. હવે કેટલાને ક્વેશ્ચન છે પહેલાં એ કહી દો, કારણ મારી પાસે ટાઈમ બહુ ઓછો છે હવે. 1 2 થોડુંક જલ્દી કરવું પડશે. હા સર, તમે તો જોરથી બોલી દો અહીંયાથી જ. હું તમારી જોડે આવું. ગોટ ઇટ. ગોલ્ડ લોન, રાઈટ? નાઉ વોટ ઇઝ સેઇંગ ઇઝ કે ગોલ્ડ લોનમાં બી જે KCCમાં જે ઇસ્યુ થાય છે એ જ ગોલ્ડ લોનમાં થાય છે. પહેલી લોન બંધ થાય છે, એનાથી ફરી લોન નીકળે છે. હવે ગોલ્ડ લોન છે ને એ હું સાહેબ માટે રહેવા દઉં છું. સાહેબને આ મારે કાલે ગોલ્ડ લોન પર બી વાત થયેલી છે. ભાઈ હું બધું બોલી નાખીશ ને તો કાલે પછી એ થેન્ક યુ કહેવા જ આવશે. ના સાહેબ, એવું થોડું કરે. ઓકે, ગોલ્ડ લોનમાં ખાલી સેમ સેટ ઓફ થિંગ્સ જે મેં બેનને કીધું. જેટલી પ્રોસેસ હોય એ પ્રોસેસ જોજો કે બધી ફરી થયેલી છે કે નહીં. લોન ખરેખર ગોલ્ડ પેકેટમાંથી બહાર નીકળ્યું છે કે નહીં. જૂનું પેકેટમાં અકાઉન્ટ નંબર બદલી નાખ્યો છે એવું નથી થયું ને. અને અસેસમેન્ટની જે પ્રોસેસ હોય એ બધી થયેલી છે કે નહીં. અને લોનના ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશનની થયેલી છે કે નહીં. પર્સન કેન વેરી વેલ સે દેટ મેં આપી દીધી ને પછી મારે ફરી જોઈતા હતા મેં લીધા. અમુકથી આગળ તમે નહીં જઈ શકો. મારો ઓપિનિયન છે. ભાઈ સર છે, ચિરાગભાઈ પણ છે.
સર, મારો ક્વેશ્ચન CCના રિન્યુઅલ માટેનો છે.
યસ
સર, અમુક વખતે એવું થાય છે કે કોઈ રિન્યુઅલ જ્યારે બેંકમાં થતું હોય એવરી યર, ત્યારે એ મેન્યુઅલ સેટઅપમાં રિન્યુઅલ થતું હોય. એટલે એ વખતે જે તે બેંક એના મેન્યુઅલ ક્રાઇટેરિયા, રેટિંગ ક્રાઇટેરિયા પ્રમાણે એનો ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ રેટ ડિસાઇડ થાય. પણ સર, હવે કેટલી વખત નેક્સ્ટ યર એવું બનતું હોય કે એ લોકો ડીજી સેન્કશનમાં જતા રહ્યા હોય. ડીજી સેન્કશનના ક્રાઇટેરિયા મેન્યુઅલ ક્રાઇટેરિયા રેટિંગ કરતાં મેચ ના થતા હોય. તો એવું થતું હોય વિધાઉટ કન્સેશન રેટ ઓફ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ 1%, 2% એવા ઓછા થઈ ગયા હોય. તો એ કેસમાં આપણે એઝ અ ઓડિટર બેંકનો લોસ થઈ રહ્યો છે તો રિપોર્ટિંગ કેવી રીતે કરવાનું?
સી, ફર્સ્ટ એન્ડ ધ ફોરમોસ્ટ થિંગ હું તમને એવી રીતના કહીશ, પહેલાં પ્રોડક્ટને સમજો, મેથડને સમજો, રાઈટ? ડીજીની પ્રોડક્ટ્સ જે હશે ને, ડિજિટલ પ્રોડક્ટ્સ, એના માટેની અલગ એમના નોર્મ્સ છે. એ લોકોને અસેસ કરવાની રીત ઘણીવાર અલગ હોય છે. હવે ઘણા બધા આસ્પેક્ટ્સ મૂકેલા છે કે બિહેવિયરલ પેટર્ન જે કહીએ ને, જે આર્ટિફિશિયલ ઇન્ટેલિજન્સ એમાં લગાડી છે, બિહેવિયરલ પેટર્નમાં એની ઉપર લગાડી અને એ લોકો અમુક ટાઈપના કન્સેશન આપે, કોકને પૈસા વધારે આપે, કે ઇટ ડિપેન્ડ્સ, રાઈટ? તો પોઈન્ટ ઇઝ, તમારો પોઈન્ટ વેલિડ છે કે એવી જ લોન હું બ્રાન્ચમાં જઈને લઉં તો મને જુદી રીતના ટ્રીટ થાય છે, રાઈટ? કારણ કે જુદી પ્રોડક્ટમાં જઈ રહ્યા છે. હું તમને એટલું જ કહીશ કે પ્રોડક્ટ લેવલ પર તમે જુઓ કે કઈ પ્રોડક્ટ સિલેક્ટ કરી છે ને રેટ સાચો લગાવ્યો છે કે નહીં. એઝ ફાર એઝ ડિફરન્સ ઇન રેટ્સ ઓન બોથ નિયર આઇડેન્ટિકલ પ્રોડક્ટ્સ, આઈ નોટ એન્ટર ઇન ટુ ઇટ એઝ અ બ્રાન્ચ લેવલ ટિલ ધ ટાઈમ કે એ પ્રોડક્ટના પ્રમાણે એના રેટ્સ ડિટરમાઇન થયા છે. ડિજિટલમાં અગર કીધેલું હોય કે આ આટલો રેટ લાગશે અને એ લાગેલો હોય, દેન આઈ એમ ફાઇન વિથ ઇટ. દેટ્સ ધ બેંક્સ કોલ. રાઈટ. તમને એવું લાગતું હોય કે ક્રેડિટ રેટિંગમાં ઇસ્યુ થાય એવો છે ને એને કારણે છે અને તમને બહુ સ્પેસિફિકલી મળતું હોય, then you can mention that way કે ભાઈ આમાં ક્રેડિટ અસેસમેન્ટ આમાં ને આમાં અલગ રીતના થાય છે. બટ એ લખતા પહેલાં તમે સમજજો, પ્રોડક્ટ સમજજો અને અહીંયા મિક્સ સમજજો.
રાઈટ સર, પણ પ્રોડક્ટ સપોઝ ફોર એક્ઝામ્પલ સીસી અગેન્સ્ટ સ્ટોક ઓર બુક ડેટ ફોર એક્ઝામ્પલ, અને એ જ વસ્તુમાં અકાઉન્ટ્સના ઓપરેશન પણ એવરેજ હોય, મતલબ એમાં કોઈ મતલબ એવું પણ ના હોય કે આપણે એનો કન્સેશન આપીએ અને વિધાઉટ કન્સેશન.
નહીં, એક મિનિટ. ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન વિલ કમ આફ્ટરવર્ડ. જન્મ થાય પછી જનોય થાય. રાઈટ. જન્મ તો કરીએ પહેલાં. જન્મ ક્યાં છે કે જ્યારે લોન તમે આપશો ત્યારની વાત છે કન્સેશનની. રાઈટ. સો ડોન્ટ મિક્સ અપ કન્સેશન્સ વિથ ધ ધીસ વન આફ્ટર પોસ્ટ.
નહીં સર, એ જ પૂછ્યું છે, વિધાઉટ કન્સેશન પણ જો આ ઓછું થઈ ગયું હોય તો આપણું શું રિપોર્ટિંગ?
સર, એ બિઝનેસ કોલ છે. હું આઈ નોટ એન્ટર ઇન્ટુ ધ બિઝનેસ કોલ ઓફ અ બેંક પ્રોવાઇડેડ ઇટ ઇઝ વિધિન ધ ફ્રેમવર્ક દેટ દે હેવ સેટ અપ.
ઓકે.
એનાથી આગળ ના જતા, કારણ કે તમારી પાસે ઘણું બધું બીજું કરવાનું છે.
ઓકે,
એટલે આઈ વુડ સજેસ્ટ એના પ્રમાણે ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ રેટ સેટ કરો અને જોઈ લો. રાધર સેટ કરો ને જોઈ લો.
થેન્ક યુ.
Yep, thanks a lot. In the available given time, I had this one to share. I already shared this entire presentation. જેની અંદર આ બધા જ મેનુ કોડ્સ છે. મારે મેનુ કોડ બોલવા માટે ઇંગ્લિશ તો તમે વાંચી શકો, હું વાંચી શકું. એટલે ઇટ વોઝ ડિસાઇડેડ દેટ વે કે ભાઈ જે ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ પોઈન્ટ્સ છે એની ઉપર ડિસ્કસ કરીએ ઓન અ ટેકનોલોજીકલ સાઇડ. સો ઇટ વોઝ ડિઝાઇન ઇન દેટ વે. આઈ એમ નોટ શ્યોર હાઉ ઇટ ફેડ, બટ ઓવર ટુ યુ ધેન નાઉ.
Thank you. I would like to express our deepest gratitude to CA Kuntal Shah sir for sharing his valuable time and expertise with us. Sir, your deep insight, practical approach and real-world case studies have provided us with a clear understanding of complexity of bank branch core banking system environment. And once again, on behalf of Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICAI, I would like to thank you for your valuable time, sir. Thank you.